Morning, it's Martin from Martin's Engine Services. Well, it's Wednesday, so it's time for a what's happening in the workshop update. But you can probably see I've got bits of GM engines all over the place. I've just finished over there in the distance, under the crane by the door, is the stock car engine that suffered a minor overheat and just slightly disturbed the head gasket. So that's been changed. It's all back together again and now ready for action. So that's one job completed for the week. And moving on will be, it's not its replacement but a spare for that unit. It's the 1.4 automatic engine which you saw in the previous video. Looked absolutely awful on the outside. And three really good pressure washes and heavy duty degreasers got it very clean. Now I somewhat brazenly said, oh, engines on the outside are dirty and normally lovely on the inside. Well, no, it's horrid on the inside. Nothing that's not, nothing that's serious. It'll be cleaned up okay, but it is very black and very gungy in there. Likewise, you can see the sump is very well caked. There's some quite considerable build up in the usual area here. It'll all clean up okay, but it'll take a bit of work. This does exhibit signs of being a short journey, very low mileage engine. And we do know these Vauxhall engines do suffer with sludging up the oil and getting dirt and carbon deposits. So I'm not surprised at this. The head, likewise, is as horrible as it actually looks. The camera's actually making it look a bit shinier than it is, but the deposits on these bearing caps are horrible, and it's got that lovely distinct smell of fossilised oil. I probably won't actually be using this cylinder head because I do actually have here the spare head from the other engine, which was cleaned up and in use a couple of years ago or a year ago, and we know it's a good head, so this requires very little cleaning, just a quick valve job, new seals, and put it all back together. So I'll probably just keep that one for a spare and use that one. Another thing that gives me an indication this is a low mileage engine is the fact that there is no bore wear whatsoever. The bores are absolutely perfect and the pistons are still very tight in the bores. Automatic engines do tend to exhibit different patterns of wear in the cylinders, and I think that's caused by the different loadings, as obviously as it shifts gears more consistently and more gently, a more gentle sort of gear shift, you don't seem to get those ridges in the bore. So that's just my take on it. But so this is, I think, a very low mileage engine, and should certainly make a really good long lasting unit. It may not look very pretty, but should clean up okay. Removing that horrible carbonated oil deposits is always fun, but my favourite trick is literally just to dunk everything in cellulose thinners for a couple of days, and that will really shift it, followed by a good degrease. My degreaser of choice for this sort of stuff is kerosene, followed by a couple of good going overs with the pressure washer, and she should all come nice and shiny. In fact, the crank's not too bad, it'll just come off. A lot of this will just literally wipe off, so it's not hideous. This engine is actually one of those kind of weird, almost intermediate versions of this unit. The ones used from 96 to sort of 2001-ish were the X14XE, and this one is a Z14XE, but it's actually a 1999 unit. And then this version was used mainstream, or the Z was used mainstream from about 2001 onwards. And what we've got here is a block marked block marked Z14XE, but it has got the X14XE pistons and crankshaft in, because they did slightly change the pistons and they did change the crankshaft. They changed the thread on the crank, some strange reason. All the pulleys and everything are the same, they just changed the thread on the bolt. The earlier version doesn't have this timing disc here, so we have a timing sensor on the crank, and this one had a timing sensor on the exhaust cam. Some of these engines will actually have another timing sensor here. The front pulley was the pulley that was designed to go with it, but it never had the sensor. It's got the pistons were changed very slightly on the Z, in so much that they tended to have little cutouts, little valve relay cutouts. but the X engine didn't, and these are X pistons. So this is another one of those GM sort of crossover specials. You can also tell by the inlet ports, because this is an earlier X head, which has these sort of cut out ports here, and oh, wrong side. The Z unit has these cutouts up here. However, this is the intermediate head, again, because they did change it again on the later Zs to a slightly flatter top here. I know this may all sound confusing, but this is what GM do best. For example, although this head is a Z, it still has the bolt holes in the bearing caps for the cam cover, like the earlier engine, but they now bolt the cam cover around the outside. Now the earlier head has the revision cast for the bolts, but they don't machine them. So they're basically the same casting, but one has the bolt holes drilled, one doesn't. The exhaust ports are pretty much the same sort of design as well. They haven't really changed that much, but there is an additional EGR passage here on this version, being the later one with later emissions, and the EGR passes through a port in the back of the head here from the EGR valve through into the manifold through here, whereas on this version of the engine the EGR is actually fed through the centre of the exhaust manifold along a system of chambers, and then it's fed through these little holes up into the ports. They still have the holes in this head drilled, but they basically don't use them. So very interesting design, a GM special. There's loads of other little changes here and there and bits and pieces, but it all seems to interchange quite well. So you can mix and match all the parts. It doesn't really make much difference. In fact, I think that's what GM did, just grab anything they had laying around and stick it together. Most of the later engines only use this timing sensor, and some of them didn't even use the cam sensor. Not sure why they fitted the timing sensor on the camshaft, really, because it's non-variable timing engine, but hey ho, say GM and it works. So that is what we're dealing with. An intriguing combination of bits. There are a few other variations you find where they've moved the belt tensioner over a bit on certain versions. There's one version where the engine mount was on here to the inner wing of the Corsa Bs, early Tigras, and for some reason one of the belt tensioners is sat here on an engine bracket. They moved it over a bit and made the timing belt 7 teeth longer. Yeah, why? No idea, no real advantage, and you can actually retrofit both kits to both engines, so again, why? So I've just finished my tea. Yes, more tea as usual. So that's what I'm up to. I should be digging this poor thing to pieces and extracting all the bits out the bottom, giving them all a clean up, and so pretty much certain I'll just swap the heads. It'll be a much easier option. I mean, this head has been run, but carbons are very light. It's just much cleaner, full stop. All the valve sizes are exactly the same, the cams are the same, cam followers, springs, everything is identical, so there's no problem in messing up compression ratios. The whole range of these engines, compression ratio is around about 10, 10.5 to 1. They're all the same CC, all the same stroke and all the same bore, so you can just mix and match the bits to suit. All the big ends and main bearings are the same sizes. All the oil seals, all pumps interchange, no problem there. The sumps all interchange. So there's no real variation that can't be got round. You've got the choice of multi-layer steel head gasket or composite. Either does the job fine. There's no real advantage to either. I mean, obviously with multi-layer steel, you do need the head surfaces to be 100% perfect. So the composite one does have a little bit more give in it, and I've used both and can't really say I've had any issues with either. Just, I mean, other people may know differently, but that's what I've found along the way. Anyhow, I'll leave you with a view of this lovely oily mess and bits everywhere, so it's going to be an interesting day of mixing and matching and cleaning grotty old engine parts. And there's more bits over there, and In fact, there's the valve cover off this engine, and you can see, or cam cover, you can see just how awful that is inside as well. Nice. Oh well, that's the joys of renovating engines, but I guess I'd rather be doing that than crawling under cars and welding them up and all that stuff now. I think it's a little bit less stressful. Anyhow, I shall leave you now. Say thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. All the numbers are going the right way, which is really appreciated. And again, thanks for watching and bye for now.